The city of Lagos never slept. Cars honked like angry geese on the third mainland bridge. Market women shouted prices over smoky grills selling suya spice-dusted meat. Children zigzagged through crowds clutching plastic bags of iced zobo juice. And in the heart of it all, in a rusty blue apartment building with peeling paint, lived Sharon, a man as small as a mango seed but wise as a baobab tree. Sharon was a tailor. His fingers danced like spiders over sewing machines, stitching Agbada robes for chiefs and school uniforms for children. People loved him. "Oga Sharon," they said, "your hands hold magic." But Sharon's heart felt empty. He longed for someone to share his laughter, his pots of jollof rice, his tiny balcony overlooking the buzzing streets. Then came Ada. Ada sold phone chargers and sunglasses at Oshodi Market. She stood tall as a palm tree, her voice booming like a preacher's. When she laughed, pigeons scattered. When she frowned, even the stubborn Lagos rain paused. One day, Ada marched into Sharon's shop holding a torn dress. "Fix this," she demanded. Sharon's hands shook as he sewed. Not because he feared her, but because her eyes sparkled like the Lagos lagoon at sunset. "You're different," Ada said, watching him work. "Different good or different bad?" Sharon asked. Ada grinned. "Different interesting." 3 moons later they married. The neighbors gossiped. Amara, the kind-eyed woman who sold herbs downstairs, sighed. "A mouse marrying a lion? This won't end well." Dominion, Sharon's co-worker with a laugh like a broken generator, sneered. "Sharon, nawa for you oh. You'll be her footstool." But Sharon didn't care. Ada brought him fried akra balls for lunch. He gifted her handkerchiefs embroidered with sunflowers. At night, they danced to old highlife songs, their shadows merging on the walls. For a while, Lagos itself seemed to smile on them. One evening Sharon burned the egusi soup. Ada's smile vanished. "Useless man," she snapped, slamming the pot down. Sharon's chest tightened. The words stung like pepper in a cut. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Sorry won't fill my stomach." Ada stormed out, her footsteps shaking the stairs. Sharon found her necklace under the bed the next morning, a golden sun pendant he'd saved for months to buy. The chain was snapped. "Ada, what happened?" he asked. He shrugged. "It was cheap. Broke easily." That week Sharon's sewing machine jammed. "Stupid machine." Ada kicked it, leaving a dent. "Buy a new one." "But this was my father's," Sharon said softly. "Then your father was a fool too." The neighbors heard. Amar knocked on their door. "Sharon, is everything?" "All is well." Ada barked, slamming the door in her face. One rainy night, Sharon spotted a gecko on their wall. Its scales shimmered green gold. Most geckos only chirped. This one spoke. "Oga Sharon," it hissed, "trouble comes. Your wife's heart grows thorns." Sharon blinked. "Am I dreaming?" The gecko flicked its tail. "Listen. The bridge between love and hate is built with small stones." Before Sharon could ask more, Ada stomped in, soaked from the rain. "Who are you talking to?" No one," Sharon stammered. Ada glared at the wall. The gecko vanished. "You're going mad," she said. "Mad and weak." Days later, Sharon sewed a wedding gown for a senator's daughter. His finest work, pearls, lace, threads as delicate as cobwebs. Ada watched, her face darkening. "Why don't you ever make me beautiful things?" she muttered. "You are beautiful," Sharon said. Ada snatched the gown. "Liar." He tore the sleeve. "Ada, no." Sharon reached for it. Slap. The sound echoed like a firecracker. Sharon's cheek burned. Ada froze, shocked by her own hand. Then she hissed, Don't tell anyone." Sharon didn't. But the gecko saw. The walls heard. And Lagos held its breath. The next market day Ada humiliated him. Sharon tripped, spilling oranges. Laughter erupted. "Look at your husband," a tomato seller jeered. "A baby in a man's clothes." Ada didn't defend him. She laughed loudest. That night Sharon hid in his workshop, sewing a tiny sunflower into a handkerchief, their symbol. The gecko reappeared. "Run," it warned. "I can't," Sharon whispered. "I love her." Ada smashed his sewing machine with a hammer. "Stop hiding," she screamed. Glass shards glittered like tears on the floor. Sharon stared at the ruins of his father's machine. Something inside him, a quiet, coiled thing, snapped. Lagos mornings usually buzzed with hope. But for Sharon, dawn now tasted like ash. He woke to find his sewing machine, smashed to bones of metal and wood, still lying in the corner. Ada had dragged their mattress to the living room, declaring, "I won't sleep near a coward." Sharon tried to fix the machine. His fingers, once nimble, fumbled. A gear rolled away. Flick, 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 sounded like laughter. "You're wasting time," Ada said, leaning in the doorway. She held a plate of moin steamed beans. It sent taunting him. "Beg and I'll let you eat." Sharon's stomach growled. But he kept silent, gluing a broken needle. Ada scoffed. "Stubborn Uranko." She tossed the food out the window. A street dog yelped, then gulped it greedily. At Oshodi Market, Sharon bought new threads. Vendors smirked. "Olga Taylor," a yam seller called, "did your wife let you out today?" The crowd cackled. Ada, arranging sunglasses at her stall, laughed loudest. "My husband. He's my son." She pinched Sharon's cheek. "Say mama, little boy." Sharon's face burned hotter than the suya grill nearby. He hurried away, but not before hearing Dominion's voice. His co-worker leaned against a parked Kiki tricycle chewing gum. "Sharon, my guy," Dominion said. "You're the talk of Lagos. Even area boys feel sorry for you." He mimed, wiping tears. "Be a man. Slap her back." "I can't," Sharon muttered. Dominion spat. "Then drown in shame." Ada's cruelty grew teeth. She hid Sharon's keys, locked him out for hours, and forgot to buy food. One night, Sharon's hands shook so badly he couldn't thread a needle. He crept to the kitchen, searching for crumbs. Slam. Ada flicked the light on. "Thief. I'm just." She yanked the fridge open. "You want food? Eat this." She threw a raw onion at him. "Cry while you chew." Sharon bit into the onion, tears streaming. Ada watched, arms crossed. The gecko peered from behind a cupboard, eyes glowing. The next day, Sharon collapsed at his shop. Amara found him, pressing a bottle of Zobo to his lips. "Drink," she urged. Her herbs smelled of safety, ginger, mint, secrets. "Ada will be angry," Sharon croaked. "Let her." Amara's voice sharpened. "My husband once raised his hand to me. I left. You have no children tying you. Run." Sharon stared at his wedding band, its gold dull now. "I promised to stay. In good times and bad." Amara shook her head. "Bad is a broken pipe. This is a storm." That night the gecko returned. It scurried across the ceiling, whispering, "Olga, Sharon, look under the bed." Sharon hesitated. Ada snored in the living room. He knelt, reaching into the dust. His fingers brushed cold metal, a locked box. Inside he found photos. Him and Ada laughing at the beach. A love notes. "Sharon, you're my calm in Lagos chaos." Ada, and a hospital report. Diagnosis, uterine fibroids. Fertility severely compromised. Sharon's breath caught. Ada had never told him. Creak. The bedroom door opened. Ada stood there, eyes wild. "Why are you crying?" she demanded. You hid this from me?" Sharon held up the report. Ada roared. He snatched the box, hurled it out the window. "You think I'm broken? You're broken." She grabbed his scissors. "I'll cut your tongue out." Sharon fled to the balcony. Rain pounded Lagos, turning streets into rivers. Ada cornered him, scissors gleaming. "Jump," the gecko hissed from the railing. "I can't," Sharon whispered. "Then fight." Ada lunged. Sharon ducked. She stumbled, slicing the air, and the gecko's tail. It fell, wriggling. "No," Sharon cried. The gecko gasped. The bridge, the stones. Then it vanished. Ada blinked, the scissors slipping from her hand. For a heartbeat she looked lost. Then her fury returned. "Clean this mess," she spat, storming inside. At work, Dominion smirked. "Boss wants to see you." Sharon's boss, Madame Kofo, sat behind a mountain of fabric. Her frown could wilt flowers. "Sharon, a customer returned her dress. Says the stitching is pathetic." Sharon unfolded the dress, a lavender osso oak. The seams were crooked, the beads loose. His work was never this sloppy. "I didn't make this," he said. "Your name's on the tag." Madame Kofo snapped. Dominion leaned in the doorway. Maybe his wife did it. After beating him. Laughter erupted from the hallway. Sharon's vision blurred. He'd spent 20 years building his reputation. Now it crumbled like a termite-eaten stool. That Friday Sharon bought Ada fried plantains, her favorite. "Peace offering," he said, setting the steaming bag on the table. Ada sniffed. "Cold." She dumped them in the trash. Sharon knelt, rescuing the plantains. "They're still good." "You're not," Ada said. Something broke. Not loudly like a snapped thread. Quiet. Final. Sharon stood. "I'm sleeping at the shop tonight." Ada laughed. "Good. Maybe rats will chew your fingers." As Sharon left, the gecko's voice echoed from a gutter. "Beware the storm." The tailor shop was dark, cluttered with half-finished dresses. Sharon lit a candle. In its flicker he sewed, not clothes but a tiny sunflower pillow. Stuffed with scraps. Aching with memories. Bang. 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 Dominion pounded the metal shutters. "Sharon. The area boys saw your wife at Palm Royal Hotel. With another man." Sharon froze. "Liar." "Follow me." Dominion's grin glinted in the streetlight. "Unless you're too weak?" The gecko's warning rang in Sharon's ears. But pain clouded his mind. He followed. Rain lashed the Palm Royal Hotel's neon sign, turning its pink glow into a watery smear. Sharon's sandals sank into the mud as Dominion pointed to a second-floor window. "There. See her shadow." A figure moved behind the curtain, tall, broad-shouldered, unmistakably Ada. Beside her, a man's silhouette laughed, raising a beer bottle. Sharon's heart pounded louder than the rain. "Confront her." Dominion goaded. "Or are you a cockroach and a coward?" Sharon's legs carried him upstairs, though his mind screamed stop. He paused outside room 17. Muffled voices inside. "Always yelling at him," the man said. Ada's laugh, sharp as broken glass. "Sharon. He's nothing. A worm." Sharon's fist hovered. Knock whispered his love. Kick hissed his pain. He pushed the door. The room reeked of cheap perfume. Ada sat on a bed, but not with a lover, with 3 women from Oshodi Market stitching a quilt. Scraps of Sharon's destroyed wedding gown lay in their laps. "What's this?" Sharon breathed. Ada stood, eyes blazing. "You followed me?" "I thought you were cheating." One woman snorted. "We're sewing pads for schoolgirls. Something useful." Dominion's laughter boomed from the hallway. "You actually fell for it. Ood. Fool." Ada marched to Sharon, gripping his wrist. "You spy on me. Embarrass me." Her slap left his ear ringing. "Go home. Now." The women shook their heads. "No man should be this weak," one muttered. Sharon stumbled into the storm, Lagos swallowing his tears. Madame Kofo fired him the next morning. "You've become a joke," she said, tossing his unpaid wages on the counter. "Even my customers pity you. Leave." Sharon's tools fit into one cardboard box. Dominion leaned against the door, smirking. "Want me to call your mama Ada to carry it?" Outside, Sharon tripped. The box spilled. Scissors, threads, thimbles, all washed into a gutter. A street sweeper shrugged. "Sorry, Oga. Lagos eats small things." Sharon salvaged one item, a bent needle. That night, Sharon confronted her. "I saw the hospital report. Why didn't you tell me?" Ada froze, a spoon halfway to her mouth. "Tell you what?" "That you can't have children." The room chilled. Ada's voice dropped to a whisper. "So, we could have adopted. Or adopted." Ada hurled her plate. Chattered. "You think I want your weak blood?" She grabbed Sharon's collar. "I'm not broken. You are. You're not a man. Not a protector. Nothing." Sharon's tears fell. "Why marry me then?" Ada hesitated. For a flicker her mask slipped. "Because," her grip loosened. "You were kind. And I forgot how." Then she hardened again. "Get out." Sharon slept under a market stall. Rain seeped through the tarps. The gecko appeared, missing its tail. "Why help me?" Sharon asked. "I'm nobody." "You sew," the gecko said. "You mend what's torn. Lagos needs menders." It spat out a golden thread, thin but unbreakable. "For your needle." "What do I owe you?" "Break the silence." The gecko vanished. Sharon threaded the needle. It glowed faintly. At dawn, Sharon mended a torn umbrella for a girl. Word spread. Olga Taylor's back. But Ada stormed over. Stop. She kicked his sewing kit. You shame me. A crowd gathered. Amara stepped forward. Ada, enough. Let him work. Ada turned on her. You want him? Take this useless man. Sharon stood clutching the golden thread. I'm not useless. Laughter rippled. Brave words, a fish seller mocked. Ada lunged. Sharon raised the needle not to stab but to sew. The thread leapt like lightning, stitching Ada's sleeve to a cartwheel. Gasps. Juju, someone cried. Ada yanked free, fabric tearing. Witchcraft. She fled. The crowd scattered, leaving Sharon alone. Amara lingered. That thread, where'd you get it? A friend, Sharon said. Amara smiled. Keep sewing. Ada's revenge came at midnight. Sharon awoke to smoke. His market stall burned. Flames licked the tarps. Help, he croaked. No one came. Fire devoured his kit. Only the golden thread survived, coiled in his fist. Why? Sharon screamed at the sky. Lagos answered with thunder. The gecko returned, tail regrown. Time to cross. Cross what? The bridge you built. Stone by stone. Tier by tier. It led Sharon to the third mainland bridge. Below, the lagoon churned. Jump. Sharon asked bitterly. No. Listen. The wind carried voices. Sharon fixed my dress for free. He gave me food when Mama was sick. His laughter made rainy days bright. The golden thread pulsed. Sharon's needle warmed. Your strength isn't here, the gecko said, tapping Sharon's chest. It's here. It touched his hands. Now mend. Sharon returned home. Ada slept, clutching a shattered photo frame, their wedding day. He sewed the frame with the golden thread. The cracks glowed, then healed. Ada stirred. Why aren't you gone? Because I choose love, Sharon said. Even if you don't. Ada's face twisted. She raised her hand but didn't strike. A single tear fell. Outside, Lagos exhaled. The rainy season had swallowed Lagos. Floods turned streets into rivers, and the air hummed with the threat of thunder. Sharon's golden thread glimmered faintly in his palm, its light dimmed by doubt. Ada hadn't struck him since the night he mended the photo frame, but her silence was a coiled snake. Why stay? Amara asked, handing Sharon a bowl of okra soup in her herb-scented apartment. Even a Gungun ghosts move on. Sharon stirred the soup, watching okra swirl. She's hurting. I can't abandon her. Amara sighed. You're a better person than Lagos deserves. A crash echoed upstairs, their apartment. Sharon sprinted up, soup spilling. Ada stood in the wreckage of their home. She'd ripped curtains, smashed plates, and burned their wedding photos. In her hand, the golden thread. Where did you get this? She screamed. You're using juju on me. It's not juju, Sharon said, reaching. It's for mending. Ada threw the thread into a rainwater bucket. Mend this. The thread sank, its glow dying. Sharon plunged his hand in, but Ada kicked the bucket. Water sloshed across the floor. You ruin everything, she roared. Sharon retrieved the thread, now dull and limp. Why do you hate me? Ada laughed, bitter as bitter leaf. You're weak. And I hate weakness. You weren't always like this. People change. No, Sharon's voice hardened. They hide. Ada froze. Sharon pressed. The hospital report. The quilt for schoolgirls. Ada. You just forgot. Something flickered in Ada's eyes, fear. She grabbed a broken plate. Shut up. Or what? You'll cut me? Again. Ada lunged. Sharon ducked, but the plate sliced his arm. Blood bloomed. See. Ada panted. You can't even fight right. Sharon stared at the blood dripping onto the golden thread. It hissed, glowing red. That evening, Sharon sat on the balcony, sewing a child's torn teddy bear. Ada hovered nearby, restless as a caged hawk. Stop that, she snapped. It's for Grace, the orphanage girl, Sharon said. Ada snatched the bear. You love strangers more than me. I love everyone more than you. The words slipped out, sharp and true. Ada's face twisted. She hurled the bear into the storm. Sharon stood. Enough, Ada. Or what? She shoved him. You'll cry? Beg. Sharon stumbled but held his ground. I'm leaving. Ada laughed. Where? You have no money, no job, no. Slap. The sound cracked the humid air. Sharon's palms stung. Ada's head whipped sideways. For a heartbeat, silence. Then, Ada collapsed. Ada. Ada. Sharon shook her. No response. Her breath came shallow. Rain hammered Lagos as Sharon carried her downstairs, shouting for help. Neighbors peeked through curtains. No one moved. Amara. Sharon screamed. Amara burst out, gasping. Bring her here. They laid Ada on Amara's table. Her herbs trembled in their jars. Neem Uasunwan Atarupa. Her pulse is weak, Amara muttered. What happened? I slapped her. She just fell. Amara paused. The thread. Where is it? Sharon handed it over. Amara tied it around Ada's wrist. The thread pulsed once. Get her to the hospital. Now. Taxi drivers refused to help. Not carrying a dead woman. Sharon ran through the storm, Ada limp in his arms. The third mainland bridge loomed, its lights blurred by rain. Halfway across, a crowd blocked the way, area boys with wooden bats. Oga, their leader barked. You killed your wife? She's alive. Let me pass. Murderer. They circled him. Pay or we'll finish her. Sharon's tears mixed with rain. I have nothing. Then give us your hands. The leader raised a bat. A tailor's hands should fetch good. Honk. A rusty Kiki tricycle rammed through, scattering the thugs. Get in. Amara yelled, steering wildly. Doctors rushed Ada away. Sharon slumped in the waiting room, bloodied and shivering. Amara draped a shawl over him. Voices erupted outside. Neighbors poured in, Dominion, market women, even Madame Kofo. Sharon killed his wife. Dominion announced. Arrest him. A nurse blocked them. Quiet. This is a hospital. We saw him, a fish seller lied. Beat her daily. Sharon curled into himself, the golden thread coiled around his neck. Liar. The crowd turned. Amara stood, holding Ada's hospital report and photos from the burnt box. Ada beat him. Broke her own heart too. Dominion sneered. Proof. Amara lifted Ada's wrist. The golden thread glowed, projecting holograms of past horrors. Ada smashing the sewing machine. Sharon eating the raw onion. The gecko's warning. The crowd recoiled. Juju. No, Amara said. Truth. Police arrived, but the holograms stunned them. Is this admissible? One officer muttered. Dominion fled. Market women clutched their chests. We didn't know. Madame Kofo approached Sharon. I'm sorry. Sharon said nothing. His eyes stayed on the ICU doors. Ada floated in darkness. Voices whispered. You're my calm in Lagos chaos. Sharon laughing. Uterine fibroids. A doctor's clipboard. Weak. Useless. Broken. Her own voice echoing. A figure emerged, the gecko now human-sized with wise eyes. Ada. See the bridge you burned. Images flashed. A younger Ada donating food to orphans. Sharon sewing her wedding veil, humming. Herself weeping over the hospital report. You let pain become poison, the gecko said. But roots can regrow. A golden bridge appeared, stones labeled kindness, courage, forgiveness. Cross or fall, the gecko said. Choose. Ada reached for the first stone, kindness. Sunlight pierced ICU curtains. Ada's eyes fluttered open. Sharon slept in a chair, his hand clutching hers. The golden thread, now around both their wrists, pulsed warmly. Ada touched his hair. Sharon. He woke wary. I'm sorry, she rasped. Sharon's tears fell. For which part? All of it. Outside, Lagos exhaled, a breeze carrying the scent of rain-washed earth.